What if I told you the gods weren't always noble? That before the temples, before the legends, there was betrayal, jealousy, sacrifice, and love so dangerous it split the heavens. That there was a woman who opened a jar not out of evil, but out of heartbreak. A man who looked back and lost the only thing he ever loved. A flame that was stolen from the gods, just so we could dream at night. This is not the mythology you read in school. This is the version hidden in shadows, sung in whispers, and passed down not through facts, but through feeling. And tonight, you are not just a listener. You are a traveler walking barefoot through history, through mystery, through memory. Why did Zeus fear his own children? What secret did Persephone carry back from the underworld? And why do we still feel these stories in our chest, even thousands of years later? Stay with me all the way to the final candlelight, because the story doesn't just end. It unfolds one breath at a time, one truth at a time. And somewhere along the way, you might just find a piece of yourself waiting in the myth, chaos, and Gaia. Funny thing is, you do not remember waking up. And yet here you are, not in your bed, not in a dream, not exactly, but in a place much older than either. A space with no corners, no walls, no air, only stillness. Stillness so deep, you feel like the world is holding its breath. And somehow, you are inside that breath. They called it chaos, but not the kind of chaos you think. There were no flames here, no noise, no rushing of anything. Chaos was quiet. It was the pause before anything dared speak its name. A waiting room for the universe. A velvet darkness where light had not yet been born. You cannot see your hands, but you feel them. They tingle, slightly, as if reaching through a dream. You try to move, the motion echoes. Not outward, but inward. As though the space itself is listening to you, and nothing else. You wonder, is this what it felt like to be the very first thing? And then, there it is. A feeling. A shift beneath your feet, a vibration so low, it hums inside your ribs. The earth stirs. Not the earth you know. This is Gaia. She does not arrive. She does not descend. She simply appears. Presence, not shape. Warmth, not flame. Weight, not heaviness, but belonging. She is the ground beneath you now. Not cold stone, not empty space, but something alive. The first thing to hold, the first to be held. You kneel, though no one told you to. Your hands touch soil that was never sown. It feels like memory, not yours, but older. She is not yet a woman, but if you needed her to be, she could be. She could be every lullaby no one sang to you, every quiet hand that steadied you as you fell. Gaia opens herself without moving. The way a field opens at dawn, the way silence parts for a name. You do not speak. There is no need to, but she knows you are here. Somehow, that matters. In the space that came before time, Gaia waits and the waiting becomes creation. Her breath is not wind, but it swells. And you are breathing with her now. There is no sky above you, no stars, no night, no sun. But deep below, something shifts. You feel it, a distant rhythm, like a heartbeat before a child is born. She hears it too, but she does not flinch. The world is about to name itself, and Gaia, she is ready. Above her, a pressure forms, not pain, not storm, just vastness. The beginning of the sky, Uranus, though he has not yet taken shape. A ceiling begins to lean down, not to crush, but to hold, to witness, to complete, but not yet. Not in this moment. This moment belongs to her. To Earth, to you. You place your hand on the ground. It is warm, alive, waiting. In ancient times, the poets of the Aegean would whisper Gaia's name into cave walls. They believed she heard, that she remembered, that she never forgot the ones who touched her with care. You are one of them now. A listener, a rememberer. Gaia will not stay alone. There will be titans, skies, screams, storms. But tonight she is just Gaia, and you are just here, still, breathing. Inside the pause where everything begins, let that be enough. Let that be the first story. Let the breath before breath become your own. Uranus and Nyx, sky above, night within. You open your eyes to something new, a light, but not quite light. A sense of something immense overhead. The weight of sky not crushing, not pressing but present. Watching, settling, holding the shape of everything beneath it, like a hand without fingers. He is not loud. He is not angry. He simply is Uranus, the first sky, the first ceiling, the first thing to lift your eyes toward and wonder, how far does forever go? He stretches from horizon to horizon, but there is no sun to measure him by, no cloud to soften his shape. He leans down not to touch Gaia, but to be near, always near. And yet, distant, she feels him. The earth knows when the sky is close, but she does not speak. There is no need for words here, only tension, only silence thick with possibilities. You stand between them, earth below, sky above, and something in your chest tightens, not in fear, in recognition. You've known this feeling before, the feeling of wanting to be held, but not touched, the ache of closeness that doesn't know how to rest. Then it shifts from the folds of this endless sky. Something darker slips between the edges, not a shadow, a presence. She arrives without sound. Nyx, night. She does not crawl across the land like an enemy. She does not chase away the day. There was no day to begin with. She comes simply because it is time. The moment called for stillness, and she answered. You do not see her face, only her veil. The way the stars cling to it like nervous children. You do not hear her voice, only the soft change in air when she enters. As if the world takes one long inhale and then forgets to exhale. She does not look at you, but she sees you. You know she does, because when she moves, your thoughts quiet, your pulse slows, your questions pause. She is not emptiness, she is completion. And now with sky above and night around, the world feels whole, a kind of stillness deeper than chaos, a peace that understands itself. You sit down. The ground beneath you still carries Gaia's warmth, but the air is cooler now, still safe, just cooler. And for a moment, time does not move. You look up at Uranus. He stretches endlessly, but he does not press. He hovers. He contains, but he does not embrace. You sense his loneliness, even if he does not. The earth beneath you is patient. The sky above you is vast. And now, between them, night folds the world into a hushed breath. You close your eyes. You feel the curve of the earth, the quiet above, the velvet around. The dark is not frightening. It is deep and full and ancient. But just before sleep, a thought rises. Why did they fear her? Why, even in later myths, did they warn of Nyx? Why did they say she bore things men could not understand? You remember then it was because she bore the truth. They said she birthed sleep and death and silence. They said she bore shadows not meant for light. But you feel none of that now. You feel only calm, as if Nyx carries not fear, but permission to rest, to disappear, gently, to remember nothing for a while. She circles the edges of the world now, her cloak brushing against the stars that haven't yet decided to shine. She was here before time. She will be here after time. And still she makes space for you. You breathe again.
Longer.
Deep, easy. And now you understand something. Something soft, something vital. The world was not built in fire. It was born in watching, in waiting, in holding, in stillness, in night. And tonight, that stillness is yours. Let the sky stretch. Let the night drape. Let your thoughts fold inward. Let Nyx carry them for you. Sleep, now wrapped in the oldest shadow, beneath the first sky, Erebus and Hemera. Crossing the threshold of day, you wake before waking, that half place between night and morning, between shadow and light. And in that soft opening, you feel it a shift, a curtain slowly lifting, a silence giving way. From the edge of the horizon, he comes first, Erebus, shadow, not a villain, not a ghost, just the final hush before light speaks. He does not stride, he glides, smooth as mist, wide as thought. You do not fear him, you know him. He is the feeling of curtains still drawn, of hallway lights turned off, of the final blink before sleep, or the first one after. Erebus does not ask for anything. He passes through you like a memory cool, but familiar, and with him, the last of Nyx lingers. She has not gone. She has simply allowed him to guide you now. From her embrace to his, your breath slows, your shoulders lower. It is not yet time to rise, but it is no longer time to drift. And just when you begin to wonder if the world will stay in this middle place forever, you see her. Hemera. She does not burst in. She steps gently, like someone entering a sacred room. Her light is soft, not sun yet, more like the inside of a shell held up to your ear. Pale gold, slight warmth, a color that feels like a promise whispered, not shouted. She and Erebus pass each other just once. Every cycle, they do not speak, but something passes between them. A kind of knowing, a kindness that does not require words. You feel it as it happens. That precise moment, that single silent tone of the word, and shadow becomes shadow. Hemera looks at you not directly, but you feel her gaze like warmth on your cheek. She is not brightness, not yet, but she carries the first breath of color, the idea of morning. Even if morning hasn't quite arrived, you step with her, not quickly. No rush, just a slow walk through what feels like linen blowing in wind. The veil between dark and light, between thought and action. Around you, the world exhales. Trees you could not see before now glow faintly. Stones shine just enough to remember their shape. Even the air smells different, like dew, like silence that has chosen to become sound. Hemera touches nothing, and yet everything seems to bloom at her passing. And still, Erebus lingers behind you, not angry, not resentful, just still, as if waiting for the next turn, as if already becoming memory. You look once more over your shoulder. He raises no hand, says no goodbye, but you feel his parting all the same, a kind of bow, a silent thanks for letting him walk beside you. And now, as Hemera continues forward, you understand, it is not that day defeats night, but that they agree to trade places. A dance older than gods, older than names. In myth, they were siblings, children of Nyx, born from the same eternal night, but each holding a different half of its meaning. Erebus, the depth of shadow. Hemera, the breath of morning. Together, they form a boundary, not a wall, a passage. And tonight, or perhaps this morning, you crossed it. You did not rush. You did not fight it. You simply allowed the light to find you. In its own time, in its own way. You walk beside Hemera a little longer. The sky above is still quiet. The sun waits somewhere beyond the veil. This is not yet day. This is the moment just before, when the world decides to try again. You breathe in. It smells of cool stone, soft light, open fields waiting to be walked. You breathe out, and with it, let go of the weight that Erebus gently carried for you through the night. There will be time for action, for brightness, for gods who shout and clash. But for now, there is only this, a slow crossing, a gentle arrival, a world warming not to awaken, but to remember. Let Hemera walk beside you a little longer. Let her show you how light does not have to blind, how morning does not have to rush in, how every beginning starts with breath, and every breath is the oldest kind of prayer. The birth of Eros. Love before the gods. You have heard his name before, whispered in poems, painted on vases, folded into prayers. Eros. But the one you've heard of, the winged boy with arrows and dimples, that is not who walks with you now. This Eros is older, wilder, deeper. He was born before desire had a face, before gods had names, before even the sky and earth knew how to touch. He comes not from womb or war. He is not the child of romance. He is the force beneath it, the thing that stirs before we know what we want or why we ache. You first feel him as a pull, a heat in your chest, a longing that has no object, just motion, not passion. Not yet. More like a current under the sea, moving everything. Even in stillness, you turn your head. No one is there, but your hands feel full, as if holding something invisible. Eros is not a god you see. He is a god you feel, and now you feel him. They say he was born from chaos, not from union, but from yearning. From the great nothing came love, and that love began shaping everything else. Before creation, there was desire. Before structure, there was longing. Not lust, not craving, but the purest, softest wish to reach and be reached in return. You walk slowly now, not toward anything, but because something in you wants to be seen walking, to be noticed, to be chosen, even by no one in particular. That, too, is Eros. A flower blooms near your path, though no seed was planted. A ripple moves through the grass, though no wind blows. You feel the world become gentle around you, not quiet, but willing. It is Eros who makes the world want to become something more than itself, who coaxes shape out of shadow, warmth out of stone, and in this moment with no gods yet ruling, no stories yet written, he is the only force that matters. You pause near a pool of still water. Your reflection looks slightly different, not changed, but more open. Your face carries softness, a question not yet asked. You lean closer, expecting to see only your own eyes, but for a heartbeat. You see another's gaze, not looking at you, but into you. Then it's gone. Was it real? You cannot tell, but your heart is no longer still. They called him the binder of all things, the invisible thread that pulled Gaia toward Uranus, even when they feared it. The whisper that brought Nyx her dreams, the feeling that moved chaos to stir. He is not worshipped with fire or wine. He is felt in silence, in the way hands hover before they touch, in the way eyes hesitate before they meet, in the way you sit alone and still feel watched. He was not made for temples. He made the reason for temples. You take another step. The ground seems softer now. Your breath slower. The air feels full, not heavy, just alive. And then you hear it. A sound with no direction, not music, not voice, but rhythm. The rhythm of something searching and something being found. Eros is here, not to take, not to give, but to stir, to awaken the part of you that wants, even when you do not know what for. In time, he would become the boy with golden wings, the god of lovers, the trickster of hearts. But here, in this first world, he is different. He is the ache that shapes the cosmos. He is the warmth that melts chaos into order. He is the reason Gaia opened, the reason light dared arrive. He is not in your arms, but he has already entered your chest. Stay here with him, just a little longer. Do not rush to define it. Let the feeling remain unnamed, as it once was. Let longing hum beneath your ribs. And do not ask it for meaning. Not yet. Not now. Let Eros walk beside you. Let him remind you that before we built temples, before we raised thrones, before we feared or ruled or prayed, we loved quietly, bravely, without knowing how, and that was enough to begin the world. The awakening of the elements, the birth of form. You stand in a world that still has no shape, only rhythm, no laws, no names, but something is beginning to stir beneath your feet. The stillness is breaking, not loudly, not violently, but with slow certainty. It begins as a breath, the kind you take when you are finally ready to speak. Then, a shiver in the soil, a subtle folding in the distance, as if the sky and the earth just nodded to one another. The world, once a hum of silence, now begins to separate, not to divide, but to understand itself. The first element to rise is air. It brushes against your cheek like a forgotten kiss. Gentle, curious, and then again stronger this time. As if remembering its purpose, you lift your hand. The breeze curls around your fingers. Playful, almost childlike. It is the beginning of movement, of voice, of breath. You inhale, and for the first time, you feel the story enter you not through words, but through wind. They say the wind carries the soul, that even the gods needed breath before they could speak the world into motion. Now you know why. Then from far below a pulse, not from your body, not from your heart, from the earth itself, a low, slow beat, like a drum being played under stone. This is Earth, not Gaia, the mother, but the form she's beginning to take. Mountains begin to swell in the distance, ridges not made by hands, but by memory. Caverns fold inward, as if the land itself is trying to recall its own bones. You crouch low, you press your palm into the dirt. It is cool, but waking. It hums with a warmth still locked beneath its surface, waiting to be summoned. And now, fire, but not in a blaze. It comes in color, a faint orange shimmer beneath a crack in the rock. You lean closer. It flickers, unsure, like a child's first word. But it grows, slowly, carefully, not to consume, but to shape. This fire does not burn the world. It forges it. It teaches stone how to harden, how to shine. It warms the air, gives hunger a scent, gives the future a direction. The flame leans toward you. You feel it, not as danger, but as invitation. Its warmth is not a threat. It is a whisper. Change begins here. And then, the last element joins not from below, not from above, but from all around. Water, it begins as mist. You breathe, and it enters you, not heavy, not sharp, just presence. Cool and willing, a droplet forms on your fingertip. And in it, the reflection of a sky still learning its color. Lakes unfold, rivers yawn, a distant ocean inhales. Water does not arrive, it remembers. It remembers the shape of what was, and promises to carry it forward. Together, they form the breath of all creation. Air stirs the clouds, earth holds the weight. Fire carves the edges, water softens the rest. They do not fight, not yet. This is before conflict, before claim. Here, they exist not to conquer, but to complete. You stand in the middle of them now, not as master, not as God, but as witness. Each step you take echoes in more than one direction. It makes the flame crackle, the river bend, the wind lift, the stone open. You are not creating them. You are walking with them. The ancients said these four held the world together, not just physically, but spiritually. They believed your temperament was written in their balance. Too much fire, and you burn. Too much water, and you drift. Too much earth, and you harden. Too much air, and you vanish. But here now you are in harmony, a moment suspended in balance. The world is not finished, but it is forming. The land does not yet have names. The wind's no direction. The water's no salt. The fire's no hunger. But they are alive, and they are listening to you. You sit, not because you're tired, but because this moment deserves your stillness. A place between power and peace. A place where the world took shape not through noise, not through law, but through feeling. Let the air cool your thoughts. Let the earth cradle your bones. Let the fire warm what you've lost. Let the water carry what you remember. You are here at the birth of form, before kingdoms, before thrones, before gods even knew what to call themselves. And perhaps this is the only place where you are truly free. Let the elements hold you now. Sleep in their rhythm. Drift in their quiet. And when you wake again, the gods will be waiting. The rise of the Titans, children of earth and sky. The stillness does not last forever. It never does. Even in the softest beginnings, something always stirs emotion beneath the calm. A heartbeat just behind the silence. And tonight, that heartbeat belongs to the Titans. You feel them before you see them, like the heaviness in the air before a summer storm. Not a threat, a presence. Something too large to ignore and too old to rush. They come not from battle, not from chaos, but from longing. From the long gaze between Uranus and Gaia, sky and earth, two vast beings, never touching yet always connected, stretched across the world like a question that never got answered. And in that tension came birth, not one, not two, but 12. The Titans, you watch the land swell, the air shimmer. They do not scream when they arrive. They do not cry. They enter this world as if they already understand it. They are not babies, not really. They are forces shaped like people, some taller than mountains, some quiet like forests, all of them vast, eternal, strange. You cannot take your eyes off them. There's Oceanus, whose eyes look like deep wells with no bottom, and when he walks, the rivers seem to follow. Hyperion, burning with a light that has no flame. His gaze looks past you, toward some horizon that hasn't formed yet. Thea, glowing like a secret. Her hands carry color, though no one taught her what light is. You see Rhea, whose every breath feels like comfort. Her presence calms the wind around you, and the ground steadies under her steps. And there's Cronus, the youngest, the quietest, but something in your bones notices him first. He does not glow like Hyperion. He does not soothe like Rhea. He does not move like Oceanus. He watches, and waiting is something different from silence. The Titans grow, as only divine children can, not in years, but in weight, in meaning. They fill the world like thoughts fill a room, not crowded, just undeniable. Gaia loves them. She feels their footsteps across her spine like lullabies. But Uranus, he watches them with unease. Perhaps he sees in them what he does not want to admit, that children do not stay small. That love, once given shape, grows in directions we cannot control. He begins to pull back, not physically, emotionally. The sky leans higher, farther. His vastness becomes cold. You feel it, the distance, the ache between earth and sky. Gaia, once so open, begins to tremble beneath your feet. The Titans, still growing, now sense the weight of being unwanted, especially Cronus. He walks differently now, less curious, more cautious. You follow him through a forest of stone, where trees haven't yet decided if they want to be trees. He touches nothing, but everything seems to respond to his presence. You can feel him thinking, but the thoughts are not gentle. He looks up often, not in wonder, but in waiting. He watches Uranus the father, who gave him form but not warmth, the sky that covers him, but does not care for him. And you realize something painful, something simple. Even gods want to be loved. The Titans do not yet fight, but you can feel the seeds of it, that tension in your chest, like a string pulled too tight, not snapped, just waiting. And Gaia, poor Gaia, cradles her children. She is the ground beneath all their feet, and still, somehow, she feels alone. You sit beside her now, not because you can help, but because someone should be near when a mother grieves her own creation. The wind has changed. It no longer sings like before. There is weight now, emotion, thought, the kind that builds, the kind that waits for a reason. And in the quiet between those thoughts, you hear it, a whisper from Gaia to Cronus. It is not loud, but it carries, and it changes everything. She does not tell him to hate. She does not tell him to destroy. She tells him to act, because sometimes even the earth must protect herself. And in her whisper, Cronus finds his reason. You do not know yet what he will do, but you know now the world is no longer innocent. The Titans have risen, and the sky is no longer safe. Let that knowing settle into you, not as fear, but as a gentle truth. Even in myth, the first fracture begins quietly. And sometimes, love becomes a burden too heavy to carry. Let the wind soften again. Let the earth hold you still. And sleep now with the knowledge that even gods must learn how to grow. The severing of Uranus. A sky torn from the earth. You feel the quiet first, not the absence of sound, but the weight of it. The Titans gather around their mother, Gaia, as she trembles softly beneath the sky's cold edge. You sense something fractured, not yet broken, but shifting. Sweet earth once cradled by a sky now trembling under his gaze. When love sours, it creates chasms. Uranus, looming above, begins to crack in spirit. The distance grows. You hear it in the wind, an edge that wasn't there before, and you understand something must end so something new can begin. In myth, they say Gaia spoke into the dark. She doesn't shout. She whispers to Cronus, her youngest son, the one who watches. She asks him to do what she could not to destroy, but to deliver, a child against a parent. This isn't an act of hate. It is an act of necessity. You hold your breath. As Cronus approaches sky, something inside you trembles too. You sense power trembling. When gods strike gods, even silence shatters. He raises something sharp, unseen, but real. The air shatters like the sky above cracks for the first time. And then, a sound. Not thunder, not scream, but release a gasp. As Uranus parts, the sky peels away from Gaia. You feel it, like a door opening. The vastness was needed, but not at the cost of Earth's life. And now, sky falls. You do not watch. You feel the thunder below, not above. Men fall forward when they sleep. Gods fall backward when they lose their purpose. You feel the result, two worlds torn by memory. Gaia stands taller. She breathes deeper. Cronus steps back, trembling, not because he regrets, but because he is not yet sure of what he started. The Titans watch. The ground trembles. The sky is no longer cover. It is history. And in that moment, myth births its first scar. You exhale. You know now that every separation has its pain, even cosmic ones. Uranus may have fallen, but his essence remains in the heights, in storms, in stars, in the distant horizon you cannot quite reach. And Earth, she stands taller now, freed from feeling crushed, graceful in her grief, still fertile beneath your fingers. You press your palm to her. She does not bleed, but she reshapes. Cracks in her surface become mountains, fissures become rivers, and life begins to ripple through. Cronus is silent. His hands still tremble. You sense the weight he carries now, not just the sky's silence, but Gaia's sorrow. You step away quietly, not because you fear, but because you understand. Sometimes endings are beginnings. Sometimes severing is saving. You walk with the wind now. Cool. Clear. The air no longer feels oppressive. It carries memory, both loss and freedom. You breathe in, you breathe out, and you step into the light that follows such a deep and ancient change. Tonight, sleep in that light and sleep in peace, for the sky once fell to save the earth, and now everything is possible again. Rhea and the birth of a new generation. A mother's courage. You walk through a world still reshaped by silence. The sky no longer presses. The earth no longer waits, but something new is stirring, not in the heavens, not in the rivers, but in the womb of a mother. Rhea, her name comes gently, like a ripple through still water. She does not command storms. She does not roar. She moves like a lullaby. But beneath her calm is resolve. You find her standing near a quiet spring, hands resting over her belly, eyes fixed on something beyond the trees, beyond time. She is not yet the mother of gods, but she is already carrying more than children. She is carrying history. You step quietly beside her. She does not look at you, but you feel her see you. She feels everything, the weight of prophecy, the ache of love laced with danger. Her husband is Cronus. Yeah, that Cronus, the one who once lifted a sickle against the sky, the one who now fears what was once his future and what now might be his undoing. They say he swallowed his children, not in hatred, but in fear, a fear so deep it hollowed him out, one by one. He devoured them, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, swallowing them whole before they could breathe their first song. He believed it would protect him, but all it did was break her. You do not see her cry, but you feel it a deep tide beneath her stillness. She walks each day as if carrying 6 lives at once, in silence, in memory. And yet, now, there is another. You place your hand near her, and she covers it. Her palm is steady. There is no trembling. Not this time. She has decided. This child, she will not surrender. This child will live. You follow her to a cave hidden beyond a mountain, shrouded in mist. No torches burn. No drums echo. Just stone and silence and breath. She kneels. The world hushes around her, and from the quiet, a cry, not loud, but new, alive. Zeus, born not with thunder, not with crown, but with softness. He curls against her chest like a secret not yet spoken aloud. She holds him, and for a moment, the world forgets to spin. She wraps him in swaddling cloth, rough wool, scented with pine. Then she makes a choice. She places a stone in the same cloth, shaping it like a baby. She breathes deeply, once, twice, and then gives Cronus what he expects. You hear no cry. You only hear silence as she turns from her betrayal and toward hope. The stone disappears into Cronus's throat, but the boy remains hidden, safe, raised in secret, cradled by nymphs, fed by sacred goats, lulled by the clanging of shields to drown his baby's wail. And Rhea, she walks away, not as a goddess of motherhood alone, but as a woman who chose love over obedience. You stand at the edge of the cave. You watch as she disappears into the fog. You feel her fear, but you also feel her faith. She does not know what Zeus will become, but she knows what he must, not because she wants revenge, but because she remembers what was taken and what must be returned. You close your eyes. You listen to the soft cry in the cave behind you. And in that sound is the future, a future born not of war, but of one quiet, powerful woman who chose to say no more. Sleep now, wrapped in her courage. Sleep in the sound of a child the world was not meant to keep. Because some stories don't begin with heroes. They begin with mothers who dare to protect them. The rise of Zeus. Thunder in the cradle. You follow the mist through the forest. The air here hums, but not with words, with watching. Every leaf seems to lean towards one sound. A cry, a child's cry. Not shrill, not sharp, but full. You know, somehow, that sound does not belong to any ordinary infant. This is Zeus, but not the god you've seen in temples or painted in gold. Not yet. This is a child hidden in a cave tucked beneath the world's forgetting, guarded by nymphs who do not speak his name too loudly, for names have weight, and his carries thunder. He sleeps in a cradle made of woven bark and goat skin. The earth warms itself beneath him. Above, rock shields him from the sky, a sky that once devoured his siblings. You hear the clang of bronze. Again, Again, again. A line of dancers circles the cave. They strike their shields and stomp their feet, a rhythm like rain hitting armor. Why? To drown his cries, to protect him with noise, to make the world believe he does not exist, because Cronus listens for whimpers in the wind. And this boy cannot afford to be heard. You move closer. Zeus stirs in his sleep, even in stillness. You feel power coiled inside him, not as violent, but as promise. His fingers twitch, his breath deepens, and around him, the air bends slightly, as if learning the shape of storms before they arrive. One of the nymphs bends near. She hums to him not a melody, but a memory, a song without words, older than the gods. Passed through breath alone, Zeus sighs. You sigh with him. The cave feels smaller now, but not cramped. Intimate, sacred. This is not where kings are made. This is where they are softened. You remember Rhea's hands? How she placed him here with only hope. You remember the stone she offered in his place. How even gods can be fooled by fear. But this child, this quiet breath in the darkness is not fear. He is not vengeance. He is not wrath. He is beginning. He is sky, learning how to breathe. You sit near him, back against the stone. You wonder, does he know who he is? Not yet, but he knows who he is now. He is not silenced. He is not swallowed. He is not lost. Not like his siblings. Not like so many before him. Outside, the bronze clang grows softer. The guards grow weary. The stars change places. And still, Zeus sleeps. You wonder how long he must stay hidden. How long it takes to grow into thunder. You look down again. His brow furrows. His hand clenches. And suddenly, just for a breath, a spark leaps from his fingers. Not a flame. Not fire. Something else. Something blue. Sharp. Clean. And then it's gone. He yawns. Rolls. Sleeps again. And you smile. Because now you've seen it. The crack in the sky to be. Not violence. Not rage. But destiny. Waiting for the right time. They say he grew fast as gods do. Fed by honey. Cradled in cloud. Taught the old truths by earth herself. But here, he's only a child. And yet, the air around him already smells like rain. Let that scent fill your lungs. Let the slow, soft thunder of his breath calm your own. Sleep now with the boy who holds lightning in his chest, because someday soon, the sky will remember how to roar. But tonight he only dreams. And you are here to remember that even gods were cradled once. Even thunder was once quiet. The war of the Titans. Thunder meets stone. You hear it before you see it. Not the roar of war, not yet. Just a rhythm. Distant, relentless, like drums buried under stone. Like thunder before it finds the sky. You step carefully now. The ground is no longer still. It shifts beneath your feet, not violently, but with purpose. Something old is waking, something vast. The Titans. You remember them, the 12 who once walked gently across Gaia's skin. Children of sky and earth, born from longing, raised in silence. But now, their silence has broken, and the one who broke it is no longer a child. Zeus, the boy who once slept in shadow, now stands in full light. His voice no longer hides behind clangs of bronze. It rises, commanding, clear, and when he speaks, even the wind pauses to listen. You are not standing in a battlefield. You are standing in a moment. The moment before memory becomes legend. The sky above is darker than it should be, not with storm, but with anticipation. The earth beneath is thicker, denser, holding secrets too heavy to speak. And in between, they stand, old against new, stone against thunder. You see Cronus first. He does not shake, he does not weep, but something in his posture has bent, as if the weight of fear is heavier than any blade. He once swallowed futures. Now, he stands before the one who escaped him. And in Zeus, you see no cruelty. You see clarity, not revenge, resolution. This is not a war for power. It is a war for release. You feel the first bolt before you hear it. Not in the sky. In your chest, a sudden flash of truth. Zeus lifts his hand and the world flinches. Lightning tears sideways, not down. Not to destroy, but to divide. To cleave open the old order, to say, this ends now. And from the deep they rise, the brothers, Hades, with eyes like stone halls, silent, calculated, shadows that move when he doesn't. Poseidon, all surge and breath, his presence smells of salt and storms not yet made. They do not kneel, they stand beside Zeus, equal, willing, together. And the Titans, they do not beg, they do not flee, they fight. But it is not anger that fuels them, it is memory. They were once the only voices in the world, and now they are being overwritten. You watch the battle unfold, not in chaos, but in rhythm. Stone cracks, air screams, seas boil, flames dance sideways, and through it all, Gaia watches, her children tearing each other apart, her sons rebirthing order through conflict. No one cheers. Even victory is quiet here. You walk through smoke that smells of endings. You hear cries that sound like thunder breaking its own spine. And you realize this is not war. This is transformation. One age falling into the next. And every fall leaves scars. Zeus does not laugh when Cronus finally kneels, broken and breathless. The sky does not roar, it sighs. A long, deep exhale like a mother who's waited too long to cry. The Titans are cast down not into death, but into silence. Bound in shadow, locked in memory, hidden from the world they once shaped. And above them, new voices begin to rise. You see Zeus not as a boy, not as a rebel, but as something else. A king not by title. By necessity, he does not look proud. He looks tired, because even gods carry the weight of choice. You sit down now, among the ashes of giants, and still, the earth breathes. Still, the sea waits. Still, the sky stretches wide. And from within it all, a whisper, not of war, not of power, but of balance. The war is over, but the world is only just beginning. Rest here a while. Let the stones cool beneath your hands. Let the thunder fade from your thoughts. And sleep now not in fear, but in the echo of a sky that dared to change. Olympus rises, a new order above the clouds. The battle has passed. The sky, once broken by thunder, rests again pale, stretched thin like morning after fever. The Titans have fallen into shadow. The world is quiet, but not empty, because something new is being built, not from stone, not from blood, but from decision. A different kind of power is rising now. You feel it before you see it, a soft upward pull, like wind beneath the ribs, like breath learning how to become vision. You look up not into darkness, but into something higher, clearer. The clouds part slowly, not torn, not scattered. They open like curtains to a stage not yet seen. And they're not in the stars, but just below them, a mountain, Olympus. Not the tallest, not the oldest, but chosen, not by fate, but by feeling. It rises not with violence, but with invitation. You do not climb it, you are lifted. Every step forward feels weightless. The ground is firm, yet soft like walking on memory. The air is cool, but not cold, thin, but not empty. You breathe it in, and it fills you with something ancient and new at once. This place is not made of gold, not of marble. It is not a palace. It is a promise, a center, a throne carved not to elevate, but to hold. Here, Zeus places no crown on his head. He stands, bare and level, surrounded by his siblings, not above them. Among them, Poseidon watches the sea from the edge, his hand shaping waves only by thought. Hades sits near a deep fissure, where the light barely reaches, and still, you sense no gloom, only presence. Hestia kindles the first hearth, her fingers coaxing flame without fear. Hera lifts her gaze across the world, not in conquest, but in curiosity. Demeter walks slowly in circles, pressing seeds into soil that wasn't there a moment before. And Zeus, he listened. This is how Olympus begins, not with ruling, but with hearing. A new kind of order, not chained to prophecy, not built on fear, but formed from what remains after silence. You sit on a smooth stone. No one asks you to leave, because Olympus is not closed. It is not a wall. It is a high place made not for distance, but for seeing clearly. The gods speak softly here. They do not shout their laws. They breathe them into being. You feel them take shape, not as rules, but as rhythms. Day will rise, night will follow, rain will fall, seeds will bloom, life will move forward, because the world has decided to try again. Not everything is perfect. Even gods have shadows. Even Olympus has cracks. But for now, there is peace. A soft kind, a piece not carved in stone but whispered in wind. You feel a breeze touch your cheek. Not cold, not sharp, just enough. And in it, you hear something, almost like a song, but not from music, from meaning. This place is not heaven. It is not unreachable. It is simply above, not in pride, but in perspective. You stay a little longer. Watch the hearth flame curl upward. Watch Hera close her eyes. Watch Poseidon hum to the tide. And you realize even gods need somewhere to come home to. Even power needs a place to rest its head. Olympus is not where thunder lives. It is where thunder sleeps. Let yourself sleep here too. Let the quiet above the clouds wrap around your thoughts. Let the wind carry what you no longer need. And remember, the sky once broke, the earth once wept. But from that pain came a mountain. And from that mountain came peace. Sleep now under the watch of those who once dreamed in caves, because the gods have found their home. And you are welcome there. The birth of mortals, clay, breath, and the fire they stole. You walk down from Olympus now, not in descent, but in return. The wind softens as you lower. The clouds drift behind you, and the world waits below, still forming, still listening. And in that waiting, something begins again. Not gods this time, but mortals. You feel the shift long before you see it. The ground is warmer here, not from the sun, but from something older. The kind of warmth that feels like promise. There, by a quiet riverbed, you see him, bent low, hands deep in the earth. Prometheus. His fingers are stained with mud, but there's no rush in him, only patience. He is not building monuments. He is shaping something small, something tender. His hands lift slowly, and in them, a figure, not divine, not radiant, just human, still wet with the breath of the earth. You move closer. You expect to feel awe, but instead, you feel familiarity. This form is not perfect. It does not shine. It leans slightly to one side. Its eyes are uneven, its mouth small, but it feels true. Prometheus places it gently on the ground. He kneels beside it, and he waits. He does not speak. He does not command. He simply breathes. Once, then again, and with that breath something stirs. The clay moves, barely, a twitch. A breath returned, and in that instant, you feel it, the difference between statue and soul. It does not come with thunder. It does not come with light. It comes with warmth, a quiet heat in the chest. And from that heat, humanity opens its eyes. You step back. The first mortal stands, wobbly, curious, afraid, alive. There are no cheers, no hymns, just breath. And breath is enough. But Prometheus is not done. He watches his creation stumble, fall, rise again. He sees the cold in their skin, the hunger in their bones, and he knows clay is not enough. They need more. They need fire, but fire is forbidden. Zeus has kept it for the gods alone, because fire does not just warm, it changes, and change is dangerous. But Prometheus does not turn away. He climbs back toward Olympus, not as a thief, but as a giver. His heart is full of defiance, but not for power, for compassion. He finds the flame. He hides it in a fennel stalk, small, flickering, but alive. And with it, he returns. He kneels again by the river. He holds the flame close, and he offers it not as a gift. As a beginning, you watch as mortals gather near. They do not know what to do, but they reach, and that reaching is everything. You see the fire take root, in hearths, in hearts. You see light on faces that once knew only dusk. You see meals shared, stories whispered, warmth passed from hand to hand. You do not see kingdoms, not yet, but you see something greater. The will to survive, the will to wonder, the will to try. And Zeus, he sees it too. He feels the fire that was meant to stay in the heavens, now flicker in the hands of clay, and he is not pleased. But that part comes later. For now, there is only light, faint, but free. You sit beside the river, watch as mortals build their first shelter, watch as children laugh near their first flame, watch as Prometheus fades into the trees, not to be worshipped, only remembered. Sleep near this fire now, not for warmth, but for what it means, because from clay came breath, and from breath came fire, And from fire came us. The punishment of Prometheus. Bound to the mountain, bound to the future, you follow the wind now. It's thinner here, sharper, the kind of wind that speaks in silence. Not because it has nothing to say, but because what it carries is too heavy for words. You are high above the world again, but this time, it's not Olympus. This is another mountain, colder, lonelier. Not a place of thrones, but of chains. And there, high on a narrow cliff, where the sun scrapes the sky like a blade, you see him. Prometheus. He does not weep. He does not beg. He is bound, not by iron alone, but by the weight of what he chose. His arms stretched wide, locked into stone, his back to the wind. His eyes still open. They say Zeus sent an eagle, not once, but every day, to feast on the god's liver, to devour again, and again, and again. And every night, it grows back. The wound never ends, because the punishment was never meant to end. You stand nearby. You do not flinch when the wings cut the sky. You do not scream when the beak finds flesh. You only watch, because even in agony, Prometheus does not look away. He watches the horizon, not with hope, with certainty. You see it in his face. He does not regret the fire. He does not mourn the price, because he knows the pain he carries now means someone else feels warm. Somewhere, a child leans close to a heart. Somewhere, a song is being sung. Somewhere, breath curls into laughter because of him, not despite him. Because he gave what gods were told to keep. Because he believed the clay could shine. And you believe it now, too. He does not speak, but the mountain remembers. You hear it in the rock. You hear it in the wind. Not a scream, not a cry, a truth. Some gifts are worth the breaking. You walk closer. The eagle retreats for a moment. Prometheus turns his head slightly. You meet his gaze. There is no blame in it, only invitation to remember, to carry forward, to keep the fire lit, not with torches, with tenderness. The gods do not come here. Olympus is quiet, but Earth feels this wound. She cradles the roots beneath him. She mourns what cannot be undone, and yet she knows he chose this. Not because he wanted pain, but because he wanted others to live without fear. He chose the mountain. He chose the future. He chose us. You stay with him a while. You do not touch the chains. You do not stop the cycle. You simply witness. Because sometimes, witnessing is the only form of reverence that matters. You sit on a flat rock beside him. The sun fades behind a ridge. The wind quiets. The eagle flies off again, its belly full of sacrifice. Prometheus breathes. One breath, and then another, still alive, still watching, still becoming myth. You close your eyes. Let the mountain hold your thoughts. Let the silence settle into sleep. Because some gods rule with lightning, but one gave everything to keep the fire burning. And tonight, that fire still glows because he endured, because you remember Pandora, the box, the girl, and the echo of hope. You arrive at a clearing bathed in pale light. Wildflowers stir as though curious, newly born. In the center, a small jar stands alone, wrapped in cloth, bound with ribbon, silent. Yet you feel its weight heavy as regret, soft as truth. This is Pandora's jar, not a box, a pithos, a vessel made of clay. Not for evil, but for carrying hope. Your hand hovers above it. You sense both caution and tilt like a coin about to flip. The jar belongs to her, the first woman. Not made from flesh, but from mercy and mistake. Pandora did not open it out of spite, not out of curiosity only. She opened it because she was lonely, because she was told to hope for everything, but taught to trust nothing. You kneel. Memories drift in the air like echoes from Hesiod's lines, whispered across centuries. A beautiful evil, he wrote, but you feel something more complex, someone shaped by both gift and fear. You lift the lid gently. In that instant, the breeze freezes. The earth shifts. You sense something waking. And then they slip out. Not demons, not monsters. Emptiness, one by one. Sickness that will visit bodies. Age that will bend spines. Madness that will blur minds. These soar into the sky until there is no jar, no cradle. You feel the weight of every fleeting breath become tethered to mortality. Pandora gasps. You do not need to ask why. You feel it. The loss, the grief of innocence spilled by a single movement. She slams the jar shut. But something remains, something delicate, something alive. Hope, tiny, unbroken, still warm. You reach in. It trembles under your touch. Not fearful, but aware. History often blames Pandora for unleashing suffering onto humankind. But you sense something deeper. She taught us to hold on to hope, even when every other gift flees. The myth changes when you hold that truth. You rise. The world no longer looks the same. Each flower seems fragile, each breath precious. You feel older, more fragile, and more present in every moment. The lessons come softly. First, that curiosity is not sin. It is a spark, but sparks have consequences. Second, that suffering is not punishment. It's part of the human condition. Ancient writers feared that jar, yet they feared forgetting more. Third, most subtle, the last thing that slipped out was not evil. It was hope. The myth says she was commanded to hope forever. Maybe the gods misread it. Maybe they meant we must remember forever what it means to hope even after despair. Pandora stands beside you now. She is not frightened, not proud, just human. With shoulders squared like someone who carried both pain and promise, she lifts the broken ribbon from the ground. She ties it in a loop around the jar's neck, a reminder that we cannot return to innocence, and yet we can weave beauty into pain. You walk away gently. The jar remains in the clearing, empty, but for a small flicker of flame inside. Hope lit from within. Though you did not light it, it burned softly. Not to illuminate the world, but to warm the soul of anyone who stands near. You breathe deeply. The lesson rests in your chest like soft ash. Exposure and endurance can coexist. Disaster and hope can dance in the same jar. As you step into the field beyond, the air tastes different. Clean, slightly sweet, like forgiveness offered and accepted. Let the whisper follow you. Even when suffering finds its way and hope still breathes, still lingers, still returns, let it settle into your ribs. Let it slow your exhale. You may close your eyes now. The world can wait as long as hope whispers your name in the dark. Sleep now, gently. Let her story stay with you as soft light in your mind. Because myths have power not when they teach what was done, but when they show what we still dare to become. Persephone, seasons of the heart, seeds of return. You wander through a golden field of grain. The sun hovers low like a careful breath before evening. The air feels warm, dry, steady. In this place, life hums quietly underfoot. You sense harmony until suddenly it's missing. As if the world paused mid-harvest. You turn, a flower stands in the soil. Bright red, alone, bold. Strange, it is Persephone, before she was queen of the underworld. Before stories twisted grief into legend, she was a child of spring, daughter of Demeter, whose laughter gave wheat its gold. You step forward. She smiles soft and full of something waiting to bloom. But the moment she smiled, the ground yawned beneath her feet. Not violently, just opening, and she vanishes. You hear Demeter's cry, not in thunder but in tremor, a grief so deep it cracks the earth. Crops wilt, rivers recede, the land goes silent in sorrow. Demeter walks the world in mourning, not as goddess of bounty, as mother who lost her child. You sense the seasons stretch, refusing to turn. Winter descends before it's meant to. Autumn forgets to blush. You follow the mother across dusty roads, barren fields, empty villages. She demands her child back, not with rage, but with sacrifice. Lambs left at temples, tears offered like prayers, hunger given to the soil for a child's name. At last, she confronts Hades dark, silent, powerful, not cruel, just still. He opens the underworld to her. She steps inside with no torch, no promise, only longing. You follow into the darkness. No fear, just gravity. A kingdom beneath your feet shaped from stone, ash, and the hush of afterlife. Then you see her, Persephone. She stands beside a river, not frozen, flowing, but slow. She holds only 4 pomegranate seeds in her hand. Her eyes glimmer bright, sad, fierce. Why did you eat? Demeter asks. Persephone does not say, but you feel the answer, because I chose to survive. In myth, eating that fruit binds her to Hades. You understand the symbolism, choice rooted in necessity, love shaped by captivity. identity split between earth and underworld. Demeter weeps until she understands. Some things become sacred only when given meaning by absence. So she negotiates a cycle, not a rescue. Persephone will live half the year above, half below. Winter is her mother's grief. Spring is her return. You step into the underworld's exit with her. Earth brightens. Rivers thaw. Seeds remember how to split open. She rises, singing not with joy, but with question. What does it mean to return? To carry memory from below. You walk beside her as the flowers bloom. Not everywhere, but enough. The world dips into spring because she returned. You feel it beneath your skin, hope returning, light rediscovering its rhythm. History remembered Persephone as vanquisher of death, not its bearer, but you sense deeper. She is both seed and sorrow. Promise and parting, there is wisdom here. First, that growth requires darkness. Seeds need winter to break open. Hearts sometimes need loss to learn love. Second, that returning is not the same as beginning. Persephone returns, changed, emerging stronger, aware, not innocent but whole. Third, that women in myth were rarely functionaries, but metaphors. Yet her transition reflects human grief, maternal power, and the cycles of our psyche. You pause in the field. Persephone's skirt touches wheat. She plucks a red flower, a memory of what became, as she tucks it behind your ear. You feel warmth, not just sun, compassion, continuity. Her mother appears. No tears now, just soil under her feet, grains in her hands. She smiles quiet. Relieved but guarded, mother and daughter stand together, separate but connected, earth and underworld balanced by mercy. You breathe in the aroma of growing wheat. You breathe out the ache of missing someone, and you feel their stories entwine with yours. You walk home as dusk rises gently. The light around you softens like fleece. Stars appear earlier than you expect, not to cast brightness, but to offer memory. You repeat this lesson quietly. Life returns. Winter ends, but we are never the same. Let it settle in your chest. Let it lull you. There is a cycle of grief and a cycle of return. Persephone taught the world not just how to endure under the ground, but how to rise again knowing what you carry when you return. And in her silence, you feel the promise of spring in every ending. Sleep now beneath her quiet song. Let your heart remember some things cannot fade. They bloom again, because hope, like seeds, lies in memory. Orpheus, when song looks back. You find yourself on a path woven through twilight where dusk meets dream. The forest breathing around you hums with song not yet sung, and at its center stands a figure holding a lyre carved from memory and longing. This is Orpheus, not yet legend, but musician, not yet myth, but promise. His voice is quiet, uncertain, like the first note after silence. You follow, not because you must, but because something in you stirs at his sound. You felt it even before he played. He does not need to look at you. His music finds you, threads through bone and breath, binding space around you in melody you do not know yet somehow recall. Orpheus walks towards an abyss, a chasm hidden beneath moss, veiled in mist. At its edge stands the underworld where the stones remember the dead. His music halts. He breathes once, twice, and steps inside. You follow. The air cools. The light thins. Flowers wither. Yet his music does not waver. It breathes life into the hush. You see shades rising from the shadows. Mourners, whispers, regrets made flesh. They drift. They listen. He sings of love, of loss, of longing that does not fade. His voice is cracked glass reflecting the heart. It does not heal them. It honors them. At the center sits Eurydice, clothed in dusk, not dead, not alive. She looks at Orpheus not with hunger, but with calm. He approaches, not proud, not desperate, just breath of plea unspoken. He offers her his song. It blossoms around her like petals made of sound. She breathes. She opens her eyes. She moves toward him. You feel the pathway shift beneath your feet. Colors return. Warmth returns. Summer returns. But before dawn, there is a test. He must lead her back not by sight, but by trust. He must carry her toward surface, toward air, but he must not look. She follows. He glances over his shoulder, and she disappears. The song fractures. The path collapses. You try to catch echoes, but they fade lost in silence. He stands at the entrance again. alone. His sorrow not a cry, but a melody without sound. You kneel beside him. His lyre gently weeps when he lays it against his chest. He does not weep. He mourns differently. His grief is music. His regret is rhythm. You feel your own reflection in the silence. How many times have you looked back when you were told not to? How often has longing undone progress? How many endings began with a glance? From this myth you learn, first, love does not demand perfection. Orpheus loved blindly, not knowing his own weakness. But it was that love that summoned a miracle. Second, trust can be fragile. Relationships often crumble not from violence, but from fear of what might remain unknown. Third, the ancient Greeks believed song could summon gods. They believed in storytelling not as entertainment, but as invocation. Orpheus's story shows how art can break boundaries and how small missteps can reverse miracles. You help him rise, not by touching, but by breathing. Together, you walk back into dusk, each step heavier. The world is dimmer. The music inside him quiets, yet something remains, a note still humming beneath his ribs. Outside, the sunrise arrives not as triumph, but as morning, not bright, but pale. Yet there is new air, new breath. You follow Orpheus as he walks among people. He does not teach them. He teaches them only sorrow-made song. You sense his pain shaped into something others can bear. You reach a river. The air carries wind from home. You inhale, exhale, feeling heaviness soften. In grief, you realize some sacrifices are too deep to reclaim. The journey itself becomes the offering. Orpheus's walk through silence becomes his prayer, and the music left behind, not perfect, not triumphant, becomes eternal. You stay by the river. Let its current remind you of passage. Night becomes dawn. Air becomes sound again. Flowers unfurl around your feet. You close your eyes. You listen for music in your own breath. Patience, trust, grief, memory, not building, not undoing, just being. Here is Orpheus's lesson, that not every love returns. Not every song revives the beloved, yet the song itself matters because it bears witness, because it becomes eternal. Sleep now with his melody in your mind, not as sorrow, but as gentle resonance, because some stories end in darkness, but echo on in light. Echoes in the modern heart, why myths still sing in us. You step into your quiet room, doors shut, curtains drawn, the world outside silent, and still something hums beneath your ribs. It is not mortal thought. It is myth. It comes alive in the dark, wearing the patterns of eternity, shaped by your breath, softened in your bones. These stories, chaos, Gaia, Titans, Persephone, did not end when the myths closed. They became threads in a tapestry you still wear. When loneliness visits, you remember Rhea's courage. When trust falters, you recall Pandora's jar. When longing blooms, you hear Eros's pulse. When grief meets silence, you sense Prometheus in the mountain. You're not ancient, but you are not untouched either. History is not behind you. It is beneath you, not in dusty scrolls, but in how you breathe. Myths were not written to teach facts. They were whispered as medicine. They taught how to endure, how to hope, how to bear love and loss. You hear them in lullabies, in prayers whispered by candlelight, in elders' half-forgotten songs. Tonight, myth is not story, it is breath. Take a breath now. Feel the pull between chaos and form your mind, learning to shape itself again. Let Gaia's pulse remind you of roots of belonging deeper than fear. Let the Titan's fall teach you that power built from fear does not last. Let Persephone show you that sorrow cycles grief and return both essential. Let Orpheus teach you that song may break your heart, but still remains. Your life did not begin there, but so many pieces of you did. We study history. We read myth. We quote lines, but living myth is rare. You carry it in grief, in instinct, in instinctive forgiveness, in hesitation before trust, in the ache of first love. Tonight, you revisit these places not to analyze, not to prove, to breathe, to remember, to belong. You might never journey to Delphi. You might never visit Athens, but you have worn the patterns of those myths. You've walked through fields under skies shaped by ancient longing. Your heart still carries chapters we barely remember. That is what myth is, a mirror and a promise. You exhale a slow breath. Feel the weight lighten, because myth is not old. It is ancestral. You do not pray to Zeus, but you ask quiet questions in the dark. Where does suffering become meaning? Where does loss become story? Where does silence become prayer? These are the questions myth taught, and they echo still. When you laugh, when you grieve, when you reach out to touch another, myth pulses through. Consider this: in war, in hope, in generations passing, heroes become stories, and stories become heroes again. But myths live in between, in your hesitation, in your survival, in the way you love even after all you've lost. They become softer than sleep, more urgent than fear, more sacred than temple stone. You close your eyes, let the room darken, let the silence stretch. You are still that child by Prometheus's flame, still that lover in the underworld, still that mother in the spring field, still that being not quite human, yet human enough to feel eternity. And the story, it never ends. It breathes. It awakes across every heartbeat. You are not listening. You are living versed. Sleep now and let myth sing through your bones. Let it cradle you closer than memory. Let it rest in you ever ancient, ever now. Because even if tomorrow dawns quiet, the myth remains. The last god still awake, a breath, a promise, a story left unspoken. You awaken again though you never fully slept. The candle still flickers at the edge of sight. The room holds quiet like an echo chamber. You realize you have traveled far not outwards, but inwards. You've walked through chaos and earth. You've seen fire light up clay. You've heard grief turn to song. And now, you stand at the edge of stories. Beyond myth, beyond gods, there is one presence left. Unnamed, unbowed, awake. The last god, he is not carved into marble. He does not hold thunder or sea. He does not command seasons. He lives in absence, a figure of stillness, an echo of every whispered breath that myth could not name. You feel him before he steps forward, an air of patience older than time, expectant. This ancient story has led you here not to another tale, but to memory itself. His voice is nothing, yet you hear him. In the pause between breaths, in the quiet between prayers, in the space your heart holds when you say someone's name that hasn't been spoken in years. He is the myth you almost lost track of, the one that remained in silence because stories sometimes fizzle, but memory lingers. Look at him now. He does not wear crowns. He does not bear weapons. He holds only breath, and in his ribs the echoes of all you've heard. You feel their weight. You hear the rustle of everything unsaid. In a moment, he lifts one hand barely. You hold your own, and the space between your palms pulses, not lightning, not flame, breath, soft, steady, eternal. He offers nothing and everything, because this God is not meant to be worshipped. He is meant to be remembered. The ancient Greeks, poets, priests, philosophers spoke of gods by name. Zeus, Athena, Persephone. They inscribed them on temples, stones, scrolls. But they also whispered of a presence deeper than all names. A presence felt in silence, felt in loss, felt in love. This last God is that he is not divine in power. He is divine in persistence, in letting the myth become you, in living the legacy so that myth can breathe once more. You breathe with him now. You feel the pull of everything you've learned. That chaos birthed creation. That fire passes through clay. That love risks loss. That grief can bloom into song. And he holds their breath in his own. You realize then that the end of myth is not end. It is invitation to keep the flame alive, to carry the lyric onward, to say the names that must not be forgotten. You look around this quiet room. You see your hands. You remember your breath. You are not sleeping. You are awakening. This is not ending. It is homecoming. When you rise tomorrow, the world may still unsettle. You will still face loss, longing, grief, but under your ribs in that hollow, the myth remains. Your bones remember. Your breath remembers. Because myth does not die. People do. Myths survive. Not in scrolls, not in classrooms, but in how heartbreak reshapes you, how forgiveness rebuilds you, how your heart remembers to love again. You close your eyes. You feel the breath of gods. Not one, not many, but the infinite presence behind them all. He does not speak. He does not roar. He does not judge. He simply waits. A promise, a whisper, a seed of memory. You exhale. Let the candle flame steady. Let the rhythm of breath settle. Myth ends not when stories end, but when we forget to breathe its meaning. Sleep now, but wake to remember it tomorrow. Because the last god is not waiting for justice. He is waiting to be remembered. And in that recall, myth lives again. And so, dear listener, we arrive at the quiet place. Not an ending, but the hush after a story has breathed its last word. Not silence, but stillness, like the sea when the storm has passed. Tonight, you have walked through the fires of ancient memory, not as a stranger, but as someone returning to something you didn't know you missed. From the birth of gods to the echo of their stories, from Pandora's trembling hand to Orpheus's broken note, from Persephone's wintered heart to Prometheus's flame still burning. Each tale carved a path not just through myth, but through what it means to be human. And maybe that's the real gift. You see, mythology is not just old poetry. It's a mirror, a teacher, a soft-spoken reminder that grief is ancient, love is eternal, and hope even after every jar is opened still lingers. In the whisper of every god's mistake, there is room for your own. In the courage of every mother, father, wanderer, trickster, there's something of you. And in every fall, be it from Olympus or into shadow, there is always the choice to rise. What we take from these stories is not only the names or the temples. We take endurance, the ability to carry fire even when the world says it's forbidden, the wisdom to return, like Persephone, again and again, not despite sorrow, but through it. So as you drift towards sleep, let this be your breath. You are part of the myth now. When you tell a story, when you forgive, when you survive, when you sing, the gods lean close, not to correct you, but to listen. Thank you truly for walking these ancient roads with me. If this story brought you peace, helped you feel remembered, or sparked even a small wonder in your chest, I'd love for you to leave a light behind. Light a candle in the comments. Share which myth whispered to your heart the loudest, or simply say, I'm still carrying the flame. And if you'd like to travel deeper into history, sleep stories, and soft echoes of the past, subscribe to the channel. This is only the beginning, because long after the gods fade, the story remains. And you listener, dreamer, keeper of the old breath, you help it live again. Good night.